Now, let's all stay a bit longer with politics, and political analyst and senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, has expressed doubts about the legitimacy of the number of the persons who have been alleged to have defected to the New Patriotic Party from Alan Kyerematen's Movement for Change group. He was reacting to news of some 6,000 people who defected from the ruling New Patriotic Party to Alan's Movement for Change and have announced their return to the former party, the NPP.
Politicians across the country who have previously defected from the New Patriotic Party to join Alan Kyerematen's Movement for Change have announced their return to the NPP. Led by former NPP parliamentary aspirant for the Adentan constituency, Alfred Abebi-Okumi, the group admitted that leaving the NPP was a mistake. In a press conference held in Accra, Alfred Abebi-Okumi publicly acknowledged their error and declared their renewed support for the NPP flag bearer. Speaking on Metro News, political analyst and senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, expressed concerns about the validity of the alleged number of persons who have left the Movement for Change party.
Of course, we are in a period where people can easily make some kinds of claims, if unverified, will appear to all of us as a kind of propaganda piece, so to speak. I'm just wondering where the list came from in the first place, how it was generated, and how it was accounted for. I mean, it is just like the claims that our politicians have always been making over the period, that, oh, government has created 2 million jobs. Now, when we ask for accountability,
and we've been joined via phone by lawyer Yao Boabing Asamoah, a leading member of the Movement for Change, to talk to us more on this development. Lawyer, thank you for your time, and you're welcome to Newsbeat. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Right. It's shocking to note that Movement for Change is that huge to have about 6,000 defects back to the NPP.
Your first part of your statement is quite correct. The Movement for Change has grown exponentially and is getting huge. And that is why the NPP has panicked and is paying bribes to tell lies about the Movement for Change. It is absolutely untrue that 6,000 people have defected from the Movement for Change. It's a figment of the imagination of Mr. Kumi. It is a total untruth. It doesn't exist anywhere. Ask him for a list, and he will deliver nothing. The bottom line is that the only truth in this is that the NPP has panicked. There is a section of the leadership of the NPP who have panicked at the inroads that the Movement for Change is making in the political space. And that group are the ones who have conceived of a bribery scheme, a conspiracy to attack some members of the Movement for Change in the hope and belief that they can turn the tables round. And bribery, as it stands now, will not work. Well, Mr. Kumi has left several months ago. And this is not a new thing. He's been trying, he's been calling young people in the movement up, trying to persuade them to join him in his nefarious activities, to join him in the process he started, collecting money to do things that are not worthwhile. They have refused.
How was Mr. Kumi scrutinized before, joining the Movement for Change? Because, I mean, some of us had personal interactions with him when he was with the NPP before joining the Movement for Change. How was he scrutinized, and maybe some of his team members before they came on board?
We are political activists.
Right.
What you need to find out from him is the veracity of the so-called 6,000 list. Whether those people, if he has a list at all, were ever registered as NPP members, whether they have come to the Movement for Change wholesale and have been registered as Movement for Change members and have now decided to go back to the NPP. You must ask him those questions. Those are the relevant questions. And what is motivating him to do what he is doing now? Bottom line is that he is being used as an instrument because the NPP has realized that they are in deep crisis. They've realized that what they wished away will not simply be wished away. As you began by saying, the movement for change is growing in leaps and bounds, and the NPP leadership feels really threatened. The way they think they can do this, initially, they wanted him to damage the reputation of Mr. Chematin. They were goading him to have a press conference where he would say bad things about Mr. Chematin. They simply couldn't find anything to damage his name, corruption or otherwise. So in the end, what do? They stage this age-old concept approach of defection. You know, in election year, it's a game the two parties play. A group stand up and behind a banner and say they've defected from NPP to NDC. Another group gets up and from a banner they say they've defected from NDC to NPP. So they've tried the same thing. So they come up with the figure of 6,000. Now they must justify that figure. That is what we must ask them. Ask for the data. Find out whether the NPP... Yes, please, go ahead and ask them. Because as for us, we know nothing has happened to us.
Right,
we know that nothing has happened to us. So we are not interested in that.
Right, but how closely were you working with Mr. Kumi, and what do you think you did that got him maybe offended?
He was not high up in the totem pole enough for him to have found anything that disclosure of would harm the movement. He simply was not in that position. He's low down the totem pole.
So if your allegation is anything to go by, it's possible that the MPP can use money to woo more of your youth, since the youth is now maybe the most suffering group of people in the country.
That is the danger for the MPP and the public good. Where are they getting that money from? Are they using taxpayers' money to now pay political bribes to influence people? Is that what they have to do with public money now?
But what's your proof? They use money to induce them.
Money to campaign. Mr. Chematin is using private money to campaign. He is out of government. Is the NPP using public money to suborn the will of the people, to bribe people, to pretend to be who they are not? Is that what is happening? That is what you must ask the leadership, the desperate leadership, who are resorting to this. It's not even unusual. It's very usual, but the scale of it is so... I don't want to use certain words. But frankly, this is laughable. It's so desperate, it's not funny anymore.
Right. Lawyer Boabian-Sama, we'll leave it here. We're grateful for speaking to us here on Newsbeat. Thank you for your time. And he's a leading member of the Movement for Change with Alan Kojo Chirmateng.